first, let's get the perspective with CEO Jeff Quartermaine. Jeff, welcome back to ausbiz. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, it looked as if there was quite a lot that moved in your favor in the financial year, including the price of gold. So just give me your sort of highlights from the year.
Look, it's been an exceptionally strong year for us. We've produced close enough to 500,000 ounces of gold for the year at an all-in site cost of US $952 an ounce. So we're very well positioned relative to the peer group and generating, as you can see from the results that have been announced today, very high levels of cash and earnings. So we are in a very strong position to continue this as well. In terms of the gold price, I think the average price for the year was something like $1,658 US an ounce, which is under the spot price today. So even with that lower price, we've still managed to deliver some pretty healthy financial outcomes.
Jeff, now we've got a lot of miners, gold miners in particular, that look to be struggling with costs. Give us some sort of perspective on how things are traveling at Perseus, because I didn't see anything sort of explicit in my first read of the results that would imply that you're having trouble controlling costs.
Well, we're in a very different position to our Australian peers. I think there is very significant cost pressure in Australia, whereas not quite so pronounced in Africa, where our operations are based. Certainly in Australia, I think the issue around resourcing, human resources, hiring people, etc., retaining people is costing people an awful lot of money. Fuel prices, etc. Now, in one of the countries in which we operate, the fuel price is subsidised, so that isn't impacting us in the same way. Similarly, with with labour, we don't see the same level of cost inflation or inflation in wages as what's perhaps experienced in Australia. So, for one of the very rare times in history, an African mining situation is substantially more favourable than say Western Australia.
Yeah, interesting. Swings and roundabouts. So this year has allowed you, it says, you've got a final dividend of $1.64 per share, including a bonus dividend of 79 cents per share. Why did you decide to do that? What is that telling us about your balance sheet, but also, the amount of investment that you're going to have to make still going forward?
Look, I would like to think that what you just said was correct, but it's not actually. We're talking 1.64 cents per share is the final dividend, and 2.45 cents for the entire year. Would be very nice if it was indeed $1.64.
You're
but
correct.
It's not.
I stand corrected.
What it actually does say, though, is that look, we are generating a lot of cash. We've got some very specific growth plans ahead of us, including the development of our next project, which is in Sudan. But notwithstanding the fact that we have significant investment opportunities ahead of us, we are generating quite a lot of cash, and we can afford quite comfortably to start returning this to our shareholders. So we implemented a dividend policy for the first time last financial year. I think including this dividend that we've declared today, this is about $50 million that we've returned to our shareholders over the last 12 months, basically. So what it actually says is that our balance sheet is in a very, very strong position.
Now, when it comes to plans going forward, you've alluded to, still some of the development that's coming through for a mine in Sudan. What else is on tap for the coming year?
Well, look, we run, in terms of our growth, we run both an organic growth and an inorganic growth program. So organically, around our existing mines, we're getting very good exploration success. And in fact, yesterday we announced the first of the reserves for an underground mine at our Yaouré operation in Côte d'Ivoire. So that is certainly going to continue the growth profile. We've also made a discovery adjacent to our Edikan mine in Ghana. So that's another string to the bow from an organic perspective. Now, and also we acquired earlier this year the Block 14 project in Sudan, which is a very large scale project up there that we'll be looking to make an investment decision on in the second half of next year. Now, in addition to that, people ask us very frequently about further M&A activity and the like. Now, we're in a very, very strong position relative to a lot of the people who are targeted by us. And, as opportunities arise, we certainly have the capacity to conduct M&A activities. But having said that, we also maintain a very high level of fiscal discipline in the company. And, before we make investments, there has to be a clear path to very significant returns for our shareholders. So we're not about to start blazing away, buying willy-nilly, but should we find the right opportunity that fits our overall growth profile, fits our strategic direction, then we're more than capable of executing.
Where are the challenges then, Jeff? Because you've made it sound like things are just going swimmingly.
Well, it is going swimmingly, let me assure you. But the challenge, as you say, I think the biggest challenge that we all face globally is in the human resources space, to be frank. I mean, certainly COVID has had an impact on people's mindset, particularly around working in foreign jurisdictions and travel and things of that nature. So attracting and retaining people is an important and a key part of our business. And then, of course, I guess the other part, less, impacted by that is the fact that we've been at this now for quite a number of years, and our workforce is aging, as it were, and we have the challenge of succession planning and bringing people into the industry. And I think, as a general statement, you would say that, particularly in Australia, that not a lot of people are attracted to the mining industry from university, et cetera, and over time, as commodity cycles come and go, we see people coming and leaving the industry. So there is not a surplus of high quality candidates out there, and we have to look pretty hard to find the right people, which we do. But I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we have. And from a Perseus point of view, we have the physical assets, we have the financial assets, we have the social license to operate. Having been in Africa now for quite some time, we can operate on the continent. So in terms of challenges, I would say making sure that we've got the right quality people in the right positions and having them, motivated and ready to work is possibly our biggest challenge.